Now imagine this. It's the summer of 2020 and you have spent the beginning of the year starting back in track and running 8 miles a day to early spring and going on vacation and visiting friends and family to then learning to live your life within COVID and dealing with the mess of the way society is today. But you're still living your life and you're going swimming to your best possibility and you're making the best of things. And you're having bonfires and waiting in the middle of the night to finish your favorite episode of your new series of Netflix that you've been binge watching. And then one day you go for a routine physical to find out you're 6 months pregnant. Now, that was my case. And according to babieshavingbabies.weebly.com, 82% of teen pregnancies are unplanned. And that is exactly what happened to me. So today I'm going to tell you why young parents can be financially, mentally, and physically responsible when caring for their child or children. Today I'm going to tell you that I am a full-time mother, I'm a full-time employee, and I'm a full-time student. I do the best I can with what I got, and I'm here to tell you that it is possible to be financially stable. And one of the main concerns with young adolescents who are pregnant is that they won't be able to financially support their children, because most of the times these women end up as single mothers. And in my case, that wasn't true. I do have 2 incomes that support my child, and it is hard living day to day, learning to adapt to new things, and this whole new life you never understood because you've never been a mother or father yourself. But I am here to tell you that the concern that mothers are financially unstable, or I guess irresponsible, is far from true of the fact if the parent themselves are mentally concerning for their child. That brings us on to mentality. It's not the parent's age themselves, in which I have read from raisingchildren.net, it's the parent themselves. It doesn't matter the age of the parent. It's how they parent their children. Now, mentally, I was in a good spot in my life. I had no concerns, I had no worries, and I am well off as it is. So when I found out I was pregnant, it wasn't the worst thing that could have ever happened to me, as I knew financially and mentally I could handle it. Mentally, I was fine, but some of the main concerns for teen pregnancies are that they might become depressed because they're going to doctor's appointments while their friends are out partying, and they're having to learn to change their lives and adapt to their new bodies. Well, for my fact, it was that I wasn't concerned what society thought about me as a young mother. I wasn't concerned about going out and partying and missing the adventure, because I felt like I had succeeded and done everything I wanted to do and within my social life, and I was happy and in a good place. And mentally, if you were going to be in my life, you were going to be in my life, and if you allowed the pregnancy to change that, then so be it. That's just how I am mentally as a person. It affects everybody differently, and I do understand that. But who's to say you're in your mid-20s or your 30s and you're having your first baby? It will affect your social life. I mean, people are expecting of women to start having babies sooner, eventually. But it can still affect your social life. It affects everything. It changes everything. And that was fine in my case because I was okay with that. Now, according to the CDC.gov, in 2017, a total of 194,377 babies were born to women in the ages of 15 and 19 years old. I may fit that statistic, but I don't fit the common, they're gonna financially fail, they're not gonna be supportive, they're not gonna be mentally capable of handling a child as they're a child themselves. According to healthychildren.org, medically, most pregnancies of adolescents do just as well as adults. And this brings you on to the physical concerns of teen pregnancies, which you're just lower in iron and lower in nutrients that the baby needs as a child yourself. So, there's a solution around that by making sure you're taking your prenatals, making sure you're going to your doctor's appointments, making sure that everything is okay and your baby and you yourself are getting what you need, changing your eating habits and learning new ways to go about your day. The perception that teen moms aren't financially, mentally, and physically capable of raising a child are far from what I have shown. Many of us know instances of women who can't financially support their children, and they're much older than I. And many of us know how hard it is if you have children, or you are a parent, or you've seen parents yourself struggle, or you've heard people talking about how hard it is. Maybe you have a friend who has a baby, or they're expecting, or you've just seen young parents in general who are older than I, who mentally they're struggling, or physically they don't feel capable enough to keep up with the demands of a baby. But I myself can say that I am. I'm a full-time student and a full-time CNA and a full-time mom, and I still physically manage the demands of my child, and I find it joyful to get up in the middle of the night despite him screaming for hours on end. It's just a choice you have to make, and it doesn't mean that young parents are bad parents. And when you research this topic, most articles are just people in society who look down on women who do have babies when they're 19 or under, because they aren't seen as fit. They're not seen as fit mothers. But as you see in this world, there are a lot of unfit parents who are a lot older than I. There are a lot of instances where people are struggling, and I do have my days where I struggle. I am not saying I'm perfect. That is, I am far from saying that. But as far as I'm concerned, I may fit the statistic that, according to babieshavingbabies.weebly.com, 82% of teen pregnancies are unplanned, because mine was. But just because it's an unplanned pregnancy doesn't mean it's an unloved child. It doesn't mean they're better off than someone else's care. That's not what that means, because I myself have personally dealt through the challenges and have seen what it's like to be a full-time mom, a full-time employee, a full-time student. I know women in my life who are well off in their 30s and they're having their first babies, and mentally they can't even fathom the fact. It just depends on who you are as a person, and I want to beat the statistic or the social onlook of how young parents are bad parents, because they're not. It just depends on who you are as a person and how you mentally take. I am young enough to meet the physical demands of my child, and I am lucky enough to meet the financial demands of my child. It's a process most will go through. And it's a process I'm grateful enough to be able to handle. And I do have a very good support system in which I am blessed to have. But I am here to tell you, young parents are not bad parents. And whether you believe my stories or my testimony as itself, and do your research, maybe look into it, talk to some people, just, check up on your young parents. They're going through a lot, and they need your support.